The Lost Empire, The Eye of the Sahara, Extended Edition. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about the timeline of human civilization is fundamentally wrong? For over 2,000 years, the academic world has laughed at the legend of Atlantis, dismissing it as a mere fable, a moral allegory born from the mind of Plato. But right now, astronauts looking down from the International Space Station are staring at a ghost, a massive concentric structure in the middle of the Sahara Desert that matches Plato's description of the Atlantean capital with terrifying mathematical precision. For centuries, we have been obsessed with searching for a city under the dark depths of the Atlantic Ocean, while the ruins of the greatest empire in history has been hiding in plain sight, scorched by the relentless sun and buried beneath the shifting sands of Mauritania. This is no longer just a collection of coincidences. This is a planetary crime scene of a lost world that was erased from our collective memory. Today, we are not just asking questions. We are going to provide the evidence that history tried to bury. Deep within the desolate borders of Mauritania, in one of the most inhospitable and remote places on our planet, lies the Richat Structure. It is a geological anomaly so vast, stretching nearly 24 kilometers wide, that it was only truly discovered in its full haunting glory when humans first reached orbit and looked back at the Earth. For decades, mainstream geologists have comfortably called it a domal uplift, a natural result of volcanic activity and millions of years of erosion. But as our satellite technology and archaeological tools advance, the natural explanation begins to crumble under the weight of the evidence. Why does this specific site, located in the middle of a vast desert, possess the exact architectural layout of a city described in the 4th century BC? Plato, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, was not being poetic or vague. He was being technical. He spoke of a capital city composed of alternating rings of land and water. 3 rings of water, 2 rings of land. When you look at the Eye of the Sahara from space, you aren't just seeing a circle. You are seeing a prehistoric blueprint, a skeletal remain of a circular navigation system that once allowed massive ships to sail into the very heart of a golden kingdom. Even the diameter, 23.5 kilometers, matches the ancient Greek stades described by Plato to an almost impossible degree. Is it mere luck? Or are we looking at the literal foundation of a forgotten global superpower? But Plato provided more than just a shape. He gave us a geographical map that fits only one place on Earth. He stated with absolute clarity that Atlantis was protected by a wall of majestic mountains to the north, and opened up to a vast, level, and fertile plain to the south. If you visit the Richat Structure today, the geography is a mirror image of that ancient description. To the north, you have the high, jagged, and dark peaks of the Adrar Mountains, which would have acted as a natural shield, protecting the city from the freezing winds of the northern hemisphere. To the south, a massive, flat expanse stretches for hundreds of miles toward the modern Atlantic coast, a plain that was once lush and filled with life. There is more to this mystery than just the landscape. Plato mentioned that the stones used to build the magnificent temples and walls of Atlantis were quarried from directly underneath the island, and were specifically red, black, and white in color. Within the concentric rings of the Richat Structure, geologists find these exact volcanic rocks: rhyolite, gabbro, and carbonatite. Red, black, and white stones, naturally occurring in the very place where the legendary city is said to have stood. Furthermore, Plato spoke of 2 freshwater springs flowing from the center of the city, one hot and one cold. To this day, local nomads and explorers in Mauritania know that even in the most brutal, driest seasons, fresh water can be found just beneath the surface of the eye. The hydrology of this desert site matches the description of an island paradise. How could a philosopher sitting in Athens 2,400 years ago know the specific mineralogy, hydrology, and mountain positioning of a remote inland location in the deep Sahara, unless he was describing a real physical place that actually existed. The biggest argument used by skeptics against the Sahara as the location for Atlantis is the water. Plato said Atlantis was an island that was swallowed by the sea in a single day and night. Today, the Eye of the Sahara sits hundreds of feet above sea level, surrounded by thousands of miles of sand. However, we must understand that the Earth of 12,000 years ago was a fundamentally different world. We are talking about the period known as the Younger Dryas, a time of chaotic climate change, melting ice sheets, and cataclysmic global floods. Scientific data suggests that around 12,800 years ago, a series of massive comet fragments struck the North American and European ice sheets, causing an instantaneous, violent rise in global sea levels. This wasn't a slow, gradual rise. It was a wall of water, a global tsunami of biblical proportions. The North African continent was not always a desert. It was once a lush, green paradise known to scientists as the African humid period. Satellite imaging using ground-penetrating radar has revealed massive, dried-up riverbeds, some as wide as the Nile, running directly through what is now the Sahara. If a massive tsunami, triggered by a comet impact or a sudden crustal shift, hit the coast of Africa, it would have surged inland with enough force to obliterate everything in its path. As the water retreated, it would have left the concentric rings of Atlantis high and dry, stranded in a sea of mud that eventually turned into the sand we see today. This explains why the Sahara is covered in millions of tons of sea salt and whale fossils, found miles away from the current ocean and hundreds of feet above sea level. The Sahara isn't just a desert, it's a dried-up ocean floor, holding the secrets of a drowned empire. The evidence isn't just geological and environmental, it is deeply historical. Herodotus, the man we call the father of history, created one of the most important world maps in 450 BC. On that map, in the exact region of modern-day Mauritania, he didn't write legend or myth. He wrote a name, Atlantes. He wasn't talking about a story from a book. He was labeling a living people in a specific geographic location. To the ancients, the West was the land of the Atlas Mountains, the pillars that held up the sky. The first king of Atlantis, according to the oldest legends, was Atlas. The mountain range that towers over the Richat Structure to this day is the Atlas Range. The king, the people, the mountains, and the city all share the same name in the same place at the same time. Why has this site not been systematically excavated by modern universities? Why is mainstream archaeology so strangely silent? The truth is partly logistical. The Eye of the Sahara is located in one of the most politically unstable, militarily sensitive, and physically dangerous regions on Earth. It is a place of extreme heat, zero infrastructure, and endless dust. But perhaps there is a deeper, more uncomfortable reason for the silence. If we find proof, a single worked wall, a carved pillar with unknown inscriptions, or a piece of advanced metallurgy, under those shifting sands, our entire understanding of human progress collapses. It would mean that we are not the first advanced civilization. It would mean that 12,000 years ago, an empire lived, breathed, traded, and pioneered technologies that we are only now beginning to understand. And we are simply the traumatized survivors of a global amnesia. We are like orphans who have forgotten our parents' names. As we conclude this journey into the burning heart of the desert, we realize that the Eye of the Sahara is looking back at us, a silent, unblinking witness to a tragedy that reset the human race. It is time we stopped looking at the bottom of the dark ocean and started digging into the golden sands of the desert. The greatest mystery of our past isn't lost in the clouds or the waves. It's just waiting to be remembered under our feet. If you found this investigation into the lost empire compelling, you need to see our previous deep dive into Göbekli Tepe. There we uncover the same mysterious reset of humanity, where advanced knowledge suddenly appeared out of nowhere at the exact same time as the fall of Atlantis. The connection is undeniable, and the pattern is clear. Click the video on your screen now to see how the story of our forgotten past continues. And don't forget to subscribe to help us uncover the truth that history tried to bury. The truth is out there, hidden beneath the sand and stone of our ancestors, and together, we will find it. Join us in the next episode as we dig even deeper into the forbidden archives of our world.